I collected scrap metal, sold it quietly, and saved coins for months to surprise her with the bracelet she liked. But when I offered it, she laughed and said her hand was already claimed. I'm writing this at 3 a.m. in my studio apartment, that smells like instant ramen and regret. My hands are shaking because I haven't slept in 72 hours, but I need to get this out before I lose my mind completely. 3 months ago, I had everything. A girlfriend to me like I hung the moon. A future that felt solid, a ring hidden in my sock drawer that I was planning to use next spring. Her name was Sarah. Is Sarah. She's still alive obviously, just dead to me now. Or I'm dead to her, both, probably. Sarah had this thing about vintage jewelry. Not expensive stuff, just unique pieces with stories. There was this silver bracelet at the antique shop downtown with tiny charms shaped like different phases of the moon. She'd stop and stare at it every time we walked past. Never asked for it, never hinted. That's who she was. Content with what she had. Happy with me. I worked construction then. Still do when I can find work. The pay was decent but Sarah was in grad school and money was tight. That bracelet cost $180. Might as well have been Furs $800. So I started collecting. Copper pipes from job sites, aluminum cans from everywhere, old radiators people out. I'd drive around in my Honda after work, trunk full of metal, selling it to scrapyards for cash. $5 here, $12 there. Sarah thought I was just being environmentally conscious. It took me 4 months. 4 months of waking early, staying late, hiding crumpled bills in an old coffee tin. My back ached from loading metal. My hands were permanently stained, but I'd picture her face when I gave her that bracelet, and it made every bruise worth it. The day I finally had enough money, I was so excited I could barely sit still at work. I left early, told my boss I felt sick. Not technically a lie since I was sick with anticipation. I got to the shop at 4:47 p.m. I remember cause I kept checking my phone like a kid on Christmas morning. The bracelet was gone. Oh that piece. The shop owner smiled. Lovely girl bought it yesterday. Said her boyfriend saved for months to surprise her with it. My stomach dropped. My chest felt hollow. Some other guy had done exactly what I'd done, only better. Faster. I drove home in a daze. Sarah was making dinner, humming some song I didn't recognize. She looked beautiful in the kitchen light, hair pulled back, wearing my old college sweatshirt that hung loose on her small frame. Hey, she said, not looking from the stove. How was work? I almost told her everything right then, about the scrap metal, the saving, the disappointment, but something stopped me, maybe pride, maybe stupidity, probably both. Fine, I said, just fine. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about some other guy giving his girl the perfect gift, while I had nothing to show for months of effort at calloused hands and the 100 dirty and wrinkled bills. Sarah curled next to me, whispered, I love, in that sleepy voice that usually made everything better. This time, it just made me feel smaller. The next day at work, the guys were talking about this new bar downtown, great happy hour, Mike said, and the bartender's this gorgeous redhead, single too. I wasn't interested, I had Sarah, but Mike kept pushing, come on man, one drink. They've been stressed lately. He wasn't wrong. The bracelet thing had messed with my head more than it should have. I felt like a failure. Like I couldn't even surprise my own girlfriend properly. One drink, I said. The bar was crowded loud, everything our quiet apartment wasn't. The redhead bartender was pretty sure but not prettier than Sarah. Not even close. But when she smiled at me, asked what I was drinking, laughed at my jokes about construction work, something dark and needy inside me woke. Her name was Jessica. She had green eyes and this way of leaning close when she talked, like we were sharing secrets. She smelled like vanilla and possibility. Seemed sad, she said during a quiet moment. Rough day. I found telling her about the bracelet, about failing to surprise the woman I loved, about feeling inadequate and small, and that's actually really sweet. Jessica said. She's lucky to have someone who cares that much. The way she said it, with this wistful tone, made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt in months. Like my effort mattered, even it failed. I stayed until closing. We talked about everything and nothing. She told me about her art classes, her dreams of opening her own gallery. I told her about my plans to start my own construction company someday. When she locked, she walked me to my car. This was nice, she said. I don't get to have real conversations at work very often. She was standing close. I could see gold flecks in her green eyes. Yeah, I said, really nice. Me. Soft at first, then deeper when I didn't pull away. I should have pulled away. I wanted to pull away. But I didn't. For exactly 43 seconds, I forgot about Sarah sleeping in our bed, forgot about the ring in my sock drawer, forgot about everything except how good it felt to be wanted by someone who didn't know about my failures. When we broke apart, Jessica smiled. Same time tomorrow. I drove home in silence, her vanilla scent still on my clothes. Sarah was asleep, peaceful and trusting. I stood in the doorway watching her breathe, hating but already planning to go back to that bar. The bracelet had broken something in me. Made me feel like I wasn't enough. And instead of talking to Sarah about it, instead of letting her tell me that I was more than enough exactly as I was, I decided to find validation somewhere else. I went back the next night. And the night after that. Each time, I told it was just talking. Just friendship. Just innocent conversation with someone who appreciated my efforts instead of never knowing they existed. But Jessica's hand would brush mine when she handed me drinks. Our conversations grew more intimate. The space between us got smaller. 3 weeks later, when she invited me back to her apartment after closing, I said yes. I cheated on the woman I was planning to marry, because a bracelet I wanted to buy her got sold to someone else first, and my pride couldn't handle coming in second place in my own love story. The affair lasted 6 weeks. 6 weeks of living a double, of coming home to Sarah with Jessica's perfume still clinging to my shirt sleeves, of looking into trusting brown eyes while lying through my teeth. Seemed different. Sarah said one Thursday night. We were watching Netflix, her head on my shoulder like always, but something felt off. Distant. My heart hammered against my ribs. Just work stuff. Big project coming. She tilted her head to look at me. No can talk to me about anything, right? We're a team, a team. God, that word gutted me. We were supposed to be a team, and I'd benched her without even telling her the game had started. I know, I said, kissing the top of her head. It wasn't a lie. That was the sick part. I did love her, loved her more than my own. But I was addicted to how Jessica made me feel, successful, interesting. Like I was this mysterious guy with depths to explore, instead of just some construction worker who couldn't afford a bracelet. Jessica never asked about Sarah directly, but she'd make comments. Little things. Are so easy to talk to. I make everyone feel special. Do ever think about what would happen if we'd met first? Deserve someone who really sees. Each comment was a tiny away at my loyalty bit by bit. Making me feel like Sarah and I were settling for each other instead of choosing each other. The end came on a Tuesday. Sarah had been acting strange all week, quieter than usual. When I got home from Jessica's apartment, she was sitting at our kitchen table with my laptop open. My turn to ice. Sit down, she said. Her voice was steady, but her hands were shaking. I sat. I was trying to order birthday present. Needed to check our bank account. She turned the laptop toward me. Imagine my surprise when I saw charges at Rosie's bar. 47 separate charges over 6 weeks. Always on nights when said we're working late. The room spun. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. So I called Rosie's, asked if they remembered a regular customer. Tall guy, brown hair, construction worker who always sat at the end of the bar talking to the redhead bartender. Oh God. Oh God, oh God, oh God. They were very helpful. Told me all about how sweet two were together. How'd stay until closing every night. How she'd walk to car. Sarah's voice cracked on the last word. But she kept going. I drove there yesterday. Waited in the parking lot like some crazy person. And at 20:17 a.m., I watched my boyfriend of 3 years walk out of that bar with another woman. Watched him her goodbye. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. I could hear the refrigerator humming, the upstairs neighbor's TV, my own heartbeat thundering in my ears. Sarah, I can explain. Don't. Her voice was sharp now. Don't dare try to explain this away. Don't insult my intelligence by pretending this was some misunderstanding. She pulled something from her pocket, a small velvet box. My heart stopped. I found this in sock drawer when I was packing clothes. She opened it. The ring I'd saved for months to buy sparkled in the kitchen light. We're planning to propose to me while we're sleeping with her. I couldn't breathe. Sarah, please. Answer the question. Her eyes were dry, but red-rimmed. We're going to ask me to marry while we're cheating on me. Yes, I whispered. She closed the box with a snap. Get out. Can we please talk about this? I made a mistake. But, made 47 mistakes. She stood, walked to the window. Chose to lie to my face 47 times. Chose to come home to me smelling like her 47 times. Chose to let me plan our future while we're destroying it 47 times. Each word hit like a physical. This wasn't some drunken one-night thing. This was a relationship, built a whole separate that didn't include me. She was right. God help me, she was right. I called off work today. She continued, still not looking at me. Spent all day packing stuff. It's by the door. I looked. 3 boxes and 2 garbage bags. 3 years of shared reduced to something that could fit in my Honda's back seat. Where am I supposed to go? I don't care. She finally turned around. I don't care where go, who go with or what happens to. Or not my problem anymore. Sarah. I love this thing with Jessica, it didn't mean anything. If it didn't mean anything, why did do it 47s? I had no answer. Know what the worst part is? She said. It's not even the cheating. It's that let me keep loving while new didn't deserve it. Let me make plans, talk about the future, worry about when we're late. Stole months of my that I can't get back. She walked to the door, opened it. I changed the locks. Don't try to come back. Don't call, don't text, don't show at my work. We're done. I gathered my pathetic boxes, loaded them into my car while she watched from the doorway. When I turned back for one last look, she was already closing the door. That was 8 weeks ago. I moved in with my buddy Mike temporarily, slept on his couch, paid him rent I couldn't afford, listened to him bring home different women, while I stared at the ceiling wondering how I'd destroyed the best thing in my. I tried calling Sarah. She'd changed her number. I tried going to her work. Security escorted me out. I tried reaching out through mutual friends. They all took her side. Of course they did. She was the innocent one. Jessica texted me for a week after Sarah me out. Want to grab dinner. Miss talking to bye. Okay. I ignored every message. Whatever I'd been looking for in that bar, it wasn't her. She'd been a symptom, not the disease. The disease was me. My insecurity, my need for validation, my inability to communicate with the woman who would have understood anything I told her. 2 weeks after I moved out, Mike came home with news. Saw X at Target, he said. She looked good. Was she alone? I asked, hating for asking. Nah, she was with some dude. Tall guy, clean. They were buying stuff for an apartment. The room tilted. Together. Looked like it. He was pushing the cart, she was checking things off a list. Very domestic. 8 weeks. It had taken Sarah 8 weeks to find someone new. Someone better. Someone who wouldn't cheat on her at a dive bar because his pride got bruised. I excused to the bathroom, and that night, I created a social media account just to look at her photos. She'd blocked my real accounts, but she hadn't made her profile private. The most recent photo was from 3 days ago. Sarah and the tall guy at some restaurant, both smiling. The caption read, 6 weeks and counting. When no. 6 weeks. She'd started dating him the exact day I'd moved out. I scrolled through more photos. Him cooking dinner in what used to be our kitchen. Them hiking at our favorite trail. Her wearing a new necklace, simple and elegant, exactly her style. But it was the look on her face that destroyed me. Pure happiness. The way she used to look at me, before I ruined everything. She'd found someone who wouldn't take months to surprise her with jewelry. Someone who wouldn't get his ego bruised by other couples' success. Someone who wouldn't cheat on her because he felt inadequate. Someone who deserved her. I started drinking that night. Not socially, not casually. Serious drinking. The kind that makes forget own name, let alone mistakes. Mike kicked me out after I came home and punched a hole in his bathroom wall. Now I'm in this studio apartment that costs half my paycheck. I lost 3 jobs in 2 months because showing hungover apparently isn't professional. My truck got repossessed. I'm behind on everything. But the worst part isn't the money or the apartment or even the loneliness. The worst part is knowing that I traded the love of my for 6 weeks of feeling important to a stranger, and Sarah replaced me in the exact same amount of time it took me to destroy us. 6 months later, I found out Sarah was engaged. Not from her. Not from mutual friends who'd all chosen sides, and chosen correctly. I found out from a wedding announcement in the local newspaper, that someone had left in the break room at my new job. Minimum wage security guard work at a mall. Rock bottom with a name tag. Sarah Michelle Chen and David Andrew Morrison are pleased to announce their engagement. The couple met through mutual friends and will marry in October at Riverside Gardens. Riverside Gardens. The same venue where I'd imagined proposing to her someday. There was a photo. Sarah in a sundress, radiant, showing off a ring that made my pathetic offering look like something from a gumball machine. David had his arm around her, looking at her like she was the only woman who'd ever existed. The way I used to look at her. The way I should have kept looking at her. I stared at that newspaper until the words blurred. Then I folded it carefully and put it in my wallet, right next to the receipt from the pawn shop where I'd sold the ring she'd never wear. That night, I did something I'd managed to avoid for 6 months. I drove past our old apartment. New curtains in the windows. Different car in the driveway. No trace that I'd ever lived there, ever loved there, ever destroyed everything good in my there. I parked across the street and called my mom for the first time since Sarah left me. Bobby. She sounded surprised. We hadn't talked since she'd asked about bringing Sarah to Christmas and I'd had to explain why that wasn't happening anymore. Hey mom. Okay, sound. I sound. Silence. I saw Sarah's getting married, I said. Oh honey. Her voice went soft. I'm sorry, because I figured be happy. Always said she was too good for me. I never said that. Didn't have to. More silence. Then, what happened, Bobby really? Sarah called me after 2 broke. She was crying so hard I could barely understand her. Said been cheating but wouldn't say more than that. Mom. The best thing that ever happened to me because I felt sorry for her. People make mistakes. Not like this. Not mistakes that last 6 weeks and 47 lies. I could hear her intake of breath. I wanted to buy her this bracelet. Saved for months, collecting scrap metal like some kind of hobo. When I finally had the money, it was gone. Some other guy had bought it for his girlfriend, and instead of just finding something else, instead of talking to Sarah about it, I decided I was a failure and went looking for someone to tell me I wasn't. Oh, Bobby. Found her, too, bartender named Jessica who thought I was interesting and deep and mysterious. Made me feel like I mattered. So I kept going back, kept lying to Sarah, kept pretending I deserved the we were building while I was tearing it down. My voice cracked. Sarah never even knew about the bracelet, Mom. Never knew I was trying to surprise her. I never told her because I was too proud to admit I'd failed at something so simple. And now she's marrying someone who probably buys her jewelry without turning it into some dramatic production about his own inadequacy. Could try calling her. Explaining. No. I wiped my eyes with my sleeve. Don't get to someone that badly and then ask for forgiveness. Don't get to steal months of someone's with lies and then expect them to care about explanations. Buff. I loved her. I wouldn't have cheated on her. If I loved her, I would have talked to her about feeling inadequate, instead of finding validation somewhere else. If I loved her, I wouldn't call her now and mess the happiness she found without me. The truth of it hit me like a freight train. I hadn't loved Sarah the way she deserved to be loved. I'd loved her the way I wanted to be loved. Selfishly. Conditionally. With strings attached that she never even knew existed. Real love would have meant her happiness mattered more than my ego. Real love would have meant communication instead of betrayal. Real love would have meant dealing with my own insecurities instead of making them her problem by cheating. I have to go, Mom. Bubby. Wait. I hung. 3 weeks later, I saw them at the grocery store. Sarah was in the produce section, examining apples with the same careful attention she used to give everything. David was pushing their cart, adding items she pointed out. They moved together like they'd been doing this for years instead of months. She looked beautiful. Healthier than she'd looked with me. Her hair was different, shorter. She was wearing colors I'd never seen her in. Bright blues and greens that made her skin glow. She looked like a woman who'd survived something, and came out stronger. David said something that made her laugh. Really laugh, the way she used to laugh at my jokes when we first started dating. Before I got comfortable and stopped trying. Before I started taking her laughter for granted. They were happy. Actually, genuinely happy in a way that had nothing to do with me, or what we'd had or what I'd destroyed. I should have left right then. Should have grabbed my frozen dinners and energy drinks and snuck out through the pharmacy exit. Instead, I stood there watching them like some creepy, memorizing the way she smiled at him, the way he touched her back when he reached around her for something, the way they fit together without effort or pretense. That's when I noticed her hands. She was wearing rings, the engagement ring from the newspaper photo, yes, but also something else. Something on her right hand that caught the fluorescent light, and made me stop breathing. The moon phase bracelet. She'd turned it into rings. Taken apart that bracelet I'd killed, trying to afford, and had it redesigned into something she could wear every day. David had bought it for her. Had to have. He'd probably walked into that antique shop, seen her admiring it, and just bought it without making it some big production about his masculinity and financial status. He'd done what I should have done, what I would have done if I'd been secure enough to focus on her happiness instead of my own pride. They moved past me toward the checkout line. Sarah never saw me. Why would she look for me? I wasn't part of her world anymore. Hadn't been for months. But David saw me. We made eye contact for exactly 3 seconds. He didn't look angry or. He looked sorry for me, like I'd look at a homeless person or a stray dog. Pity mixed with mild discomfort. He knew who I was. Had to. Sarah had probably told him everything. About the cheating, the lies, the way I'd imploded our entire relationship because I couldn't handle one disappointment. And his reaction wasn't anger or jealousy or territorial. It was pity. He felt sorry for the man who'd been enough to lose her. I left my cart in the produce section and walked out of that store knowing I'd never accidentally run into them again. From now on, I'd shop at different places, different times. I'd structure my entire pathetic around avoiding glimpses of the happiness I'd thrown away. That night, I took out the newspaper clipping and really looked at Sarah's face. She was glowing. Not just happy but peaceful, settled, like someone who'd found exactly where she belonged after wandering lost for a while. She'd been lost with me. I'd made her uncertain, unstable, full of lies she didn't even know she was living with. I'd made loving me into work instead of joy. David had made loving him look effortless. I burned the newspaper clipping in my bathroom sink, and watched the smoke curl toward the ceiling. Even my memories of her weren't mine to keep anymore. It's been 2 years since I last saw her at that grocery store. 2 years of minimum wage jobs and studio apartments and drinking alone on Friday nights while other people lit the lives I used to dream about. I'm 32 years old. I haven't been on a date since Jessica. Haven't even tried. What would be the point? What would I tell someone new about? That I'm the kind of man who destroys good things because they make him feel inadequate. That I traded true love for 6 weeks of empty validation. Sometimes I imagine running into Sarah again. In my fantasy, she asks how I'm doing, and I tell her I'm great. Successful. Happy. That losing her was the wake call I needed to become the man I was always meant to be. But that's not what happened. Losing her didn't make me better. It just made me alone. The truth is simpler and more brutal. I collected scrap metal for months to buy her a bracelet. But when someone else me to it, I decided my bruised ego was more important than her faithful heart. And now she wears that bracelet as rent in the hands of a man who chose her happiness over his own pride every single day.